The following is a presentation of Retro Sports Network. Home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. Well, after a night off for an anniversary dinner that the two of us will never forget, my name is Ron Chuckett. It's time for Game 5 of the 1982 World Series between the Montreal Expos and the Baltimore Orioles. Over the course of the next hour or so, and maybe Dave Little is going to do some basketball on the Epic Sports Network at 9 o'clock on his YouTube channel. That's 8 o'clock Central. We'll tell you all about the fun that we had on my anniversary dinner, along with the Expos and the Orioles. And so we'll forget the real life stuff for a moment and say that this series is tied up at 2 games apiece. Somebody will leave tonight on a trip to Montreal tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for Game 6 with 2 chances to win the World Series. Will it be Montreal? Well, they've got their firewall back out there in Steve Rogers for Game 5. He did not pitch well in Game 1. He got tattooed for over 10 hits and had a blister going into Game 4. So he did not pitch. The Expos lost Game 1. The Expos lost Game 4. Not what they wanted, but with Rogers might be able to go 140 pitches tonight, that could be all they need. It would be Charlie Lee and Scott Sanderson over the weekend to either win the World Series or at least get them to a Game 7. Now for Baltimore, it's Scott McGregor, the surprise starter from Game 1 on full rest. Nearly 8 innings and 5 hits, along with the fully rested Tippy Martinez. And, of course, John Flynn and Mike Bodiger. What they want to do is win, not only because that's the obvious thing, but this is Earl Weaver's last World Series game in Baltimore. In fact, Mrs. Weaver threw out the first pitch, and tears were shed in the dugout when that happened by a lot of different people. Joe Altobelli, next year's manager, threw out the first pitch for Game 4. So they get another good outing out of McGregor. They can go to Storm Davis in Game 6 and hopefully wrap up the World Series. Remember, Baltimore does have their ace in the hole, Jim Palmer, set for a possible Game 7 in Montreal. Now, if McGregor struggles and Storm Davis needs to go tonight because he is their long reliever, then you would have to see Denny Martinez go in Game 6, or possibly Palmer 1 game early, and then you kind of get left with a catch-as-catch-can. But this game engine does not like pitchers on 3 days rest. They'd much rather go with Davis in Game 6. So weather? Well, it's kind of dreary. Light rain, 63, no wind. The only changes for the Expos tonight, Joe Youngblood is a DH again, and Jerry White's hanging out in the right field as a bad fielder, but he can hit. For the Orioles, Rich Tower will bat second, and Glenn Gulliver will bat ninth. Another bad night from Gulliver, and they will scramble up in the roof in Montreal to figure out what they're going to do. But regardless, we got 1 game tonight. We got 1 game tomorrow. Who's going to go to Canada with a chance to win it all? Let's find out, shall we? As Retro Sports Network presents the 1982 World Series tonight from Baltimore, it's the Baltimore Orioles, champions of the American League, and the Montreal Expos, champions of the National League. Tribe fan Larry Harris and Sports Time Machine, how are you all this evening? Glad to have you along. So enough of the preliminaries. Scott McGregor went 7 2/3 innings in Game 1, allowed 5 hits, a homer, and struck out 2. He did not pitch in the American League Championship Series, and this will be the lineup he'll face. It's the same one we rolled out Wednesday. Timmy Raines will lead off in left field. Joe Youngblood, who can hit lefties, is your DH. And if someone did ask, this was the actual rule. This isn't a personal preference of mine, and I don't know if they used it in the 84 World Series as well between Detroit and San Diego. I know in 86 the Sox pitchers had to bat in New York. So, but that's the rule. If the National League home field, DH. Makes no sense, but that's the rules. Andre Dawson is in center field. He'll bat third. Gary Carter behind the plate will bat fourth. Jerry White, a good hitter, can't field. He's in right field. Al Oliver slumps down to sixth in the lineup. The bottom part of the Expo lineup hasn't hit. We'll do all the stats and stories for you for Game 6 tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Timmy Wallach will bat seventh and play third. Chris Spire, the shortstop, will bat eighth. And Dougie Flynn will be the second baseman batting ninth. For the Orioles defensively, it is the same lineup they put out in Game 4. John Lowenstein, a 5 and a 2 in left. Al Bunbury, an 8 and a 6 in right. Dan Ford, an 8 and a 7 in, or Bunbury's in center. And Ford, an 8 and 7 in right. Glenn Gulliver, kind of under the gun for underperforming at the plate, of 5 at third. The reason why he's in there is because Ripken's better defensive position is at short. He's better than Bonner and he's better than Len Cicada. And Earl wants the defense. Dower is a 3 at second. He's been hitting very well. Eddie Murray, a 10 at first. Joe Nolan, a 2 and a 5 behind the plate. And McGregor, an 8 on the mound. I think it does make some sort of a difference. You can't have rain delays. And I bet it makes the ball slippery just like it does in football. So Tribe Fan says yes, DH in 84. So that was the last year, I think, of the before they went to the rules where they currently use DH in the AL Park and no DH in the NL Park. So that's all set. Timmy Raines steps in. The Orioles play for the bunt. Gulliver and Murray come in. McGregor deals, and here starts Game 5, and it's a base hit to shallow right. Ford will pick it up on a hop, and the Expos get started early. Here's Joe Youngblood. I'm pretty sure he's 1 for 5 in the playoffs with a run scored and a stolen base and a strikeout. Throw to first, Raines is back. Now they'll worry about Youngblood. And that's a ground ball base hit up the middle. Not the start the Orioles wanted. And that'll bring up Andre Dawson. Overall, roughly 3 homers and 7 RBI in the playoffs. So 2 on and nobody out for Dawson to face McGregor here in the first. Here's the pitch, and there's a ground ball base hit up the middle. Raines will try to score. Bunbury's going to throw home to Nolan. There's a collision, and Nolan hangs on. How about that? Bunbury had a decent chance, and he was pretty shallow. Raines got a bit cocky, and that's the first out. So 3 hits on the board and no runs for Gary Carter, who has at least 2 home runs in the World Series. Not at least 2. He has 2. He also homered in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. McGregor deals. Carter into right center. That's brief respite. That's off the wall. Youngblood will score. Ford's going to throw home. Here comes Dawson. Safe. 2-0 Montreal. So McGregor, who pitched to Gem in Game 1, is on the wrong end of a 2-0 lead here in Game 5. And the Expos come out firing. I.D. Jester, how are you? Here's Jerry White. He is 6 for 15 in the World Series with 3 homers and 4 RBI. You're looking at the batting averages. They are pounding McGregor, and McGregor is supposed to have the upper hand. So now you're going to give Steve Rogers multiple runs in the bottom of the first. Pitch to White. Ground ball to Ripken. Over to... Now, wait a minute. They got Carter picked off? Yes, they do. Carter got caught off second. He thought Ripken was just going to fling it over to first, but Ripken kind of hit the ball and tagged him out, flipped it to Dower, and Dower ran Carter down. So it goes 6-4 on the rundown. White on first, 2 out. McGregor gets 2 base running mistakes to help. Here's Al Oliver. He's had a horrible postseason. So the Expos start off 2-0. Pitch to Oliver. Fly ball, right field. Ford will turn and watch it go. And Earl is shaking his head. Oliver, who hasn't done anything in the entire postseason, makes it 4-0 Montreal here in the first. And now Weaver looking kind of glum. Here's Wallach. Wow. So McGregor, who pitched to Gem in Game 1, is down 4-0 in Game 5. Pitch to Wallach. Fly ball left field. Back goes Lowenstein. Makes the catch to retire the side. Well, Baltimore's got a hill to climb. 4 runs, 5 hits, and no errors. Half an inning down. Montreal 4. Baltimore coming up. Oldie Chesterfields is right. So Steve Rogers, who just pitched so well against the Dodgers in the clincher of the National League Championship Series, was torched for 10 hits and 4 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings in Game 1. He walked 3 and struck out 3, and he's now thrown 300 innings in anger. And the lineup he'll face: Al Bunbury will lead it off in center field. Rich Dower will bat second. Kenny Singleton, who had the 2 homers in Game 4, will bat third as DH. Eddie Murray at first will bat fourth. John Lowenstein, who no one can get out, the left fielder, will bat fifth. Cal Ripken sixth. The shortstop, Dan Ford, the right fielder, will bat seventh. Joe Nolan, the catcher, eighth, and Glenn Gulliver will bat ninth. No changes from Game 4 in defense. White is a 1 and a 2 in right. Everyone else is the same. Rogers is an 8 on the mound. So Al Bunbury, 14 for 38 in the playoffs, will lead it off. Rogers deals. That's a bunt, and it's a chopper in front of the plate, and Carter won't make a throw. So Bunbury reaches on the, swing, and here is Dower, now 8 for 29 in the playoffs. Glad you're doing well, ID. Rogers deals. Struck him out. He got him on a 2-2 fastball, and Carter hung on to the foul tip for the first out. Here's Singleton. His 2 home runs yesterday made all the difference in the world. 342, 2 homers and 7 RBI in the playoffs. Rogers deals. Center field. Dawson, 2 out. Bunbury will try for second and go back. The only good news for Baltimore is that get it done and out of the way, and they can scratch 4 runs back in 9 innings. Here's Murray, 333, no homers and 5 RBI. Rogers deals into shallow center. Dawson comes in to make the catch, and that will retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. And Storm Davis kind of loosening up in the pen. Montreal 4, Baltimore nothing. For Spire, Flynn, and Raines here in the second. McGregor deals. Spire struck him out. A 2-2 fastball swung on and missed for strike 3. So here's Flynn. Pitch. And there's a little looper in the right. Ford will make the catch. 2 out. So McGregor having a much better inning, but his first 9 batters and 29 pitches, an inning and 2/3, 5 hits, 2 home run, 4 runs, the Carter double, or the Carter 2 RBI hit, and Oliver the 2-run shot in the first. Pitch to Raines is in the right center field. Bunbury goes back, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 1.5, 4-0 Expos. John Lowenstein has given the country a great look. 14 for 28 in the postseason now with 5 homers and 12 RBI. And yeah, a great start for Montreal. Rogers deals into left. Raines, 1 out. For Ripken. who has scuffled at 206, a homer and 3 RBI. And there's a little looper in the left, but Raines is right there to make the catch. 2 out. So Rogers dealing. Here's Dan Ford, 6 for 25 in the playoffs with 8 strikeouts. Steve deals. Right back to Rogers, over to Oliver, and that will retire the side. 3 up, 3 down. After 2, it is Montreal 4, Baltimore nothing. So Youngblood, Dawson, and Carter to face McGregor here in the 3rd. Youngblood singled and scored. He's now 2 for 6 in the World Series with a strikeout. And there's a ground ball base hit. So Dower made the poor play. And there's nobody out for Andre Dawson, who had a single and a run scored. Tabletop Sports Delaware, how are you, my friend? Nice to have you along. So 8 o'clock tomorrow for Game 6, and if there is a Game 7, 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Pitch to Dawson. Popped up, left side. Ripken has it for the out. 1 away. For Gary Carter, it was a double that scored 2. First 2 runs of the ball game. As that nasty swear stuff is going on in my chat. Pitch to Carter. In the right. In comes Ford. Has it for the out. Youngblood will have to scramble back to first. 2 out. For Jerry White, who scored, he reached on a fielder's choice when Gary Carter got caught in a rundown. McGregor deals. Struck him out. So Scotty has recovered quite nicely, thank you. Swung on and missed on an 0-2 pitch. No runs, a hit, and no errors. After 2.5, it's still the Expos 4, the Orioles nothing. So it'll be Nolan, Gulliver, and Bunbury, 3 lefties to face Rogers here in the 3rd. Nolan 10 for 28 in the playoffs. Rogers deals. Struck him out. So that's 2 for Stevie. I.D. Jester, the home plate umpire tonight. Dave Gardner at first. Al Red Sox fan at second. Sports Time Machine at third. Clinton Parks in left and Kenny Castro on the line in right. Pitch to Gulliver. Base hit left side, so Gulliver, knowing he was under pressure, has the second hit for the Orioles. And I'll bring up Al Bunbury, who had the first hit. So Rogers threw 9 batters, 2 1/3 innings, 32 pitches, a massive cable company, a dome named after him, half owner of the Maple Leafs, 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. No, it's not Steve. It's Ted, actually. So Bunbury singled his first time up, hitting .385 now in the postseason. Gulliver on first. Ground ball foul first base side. And the count is full. That's an oxymoron. The dice are fast, and Strat Central playing 1919 Nampa. Chris almost had a no-hitter the other day, by the way. Pitch to Bunbury. Ball 4. And so the Orioles got something cooking here in the 3rd. Here's Dower. He struck out his first time up. Rogers deals. Ground ball to Wallach. Steps on 3rd for 1. Across the way to Oliver. And you got yourself a 5-3 double play. How about that? The Expos, when Baltimore comes on, Montreal presses it further. No runs, a hit, no errors. After 3, it's still the Expos 4. Baltimore nothing. Oh, it was a no-hitter. Congratulations. Dave Gardner is printing out the 1986 season and game-winning drive. Here's Al Oliver as we start the 4th. You are watching the 1982 World Series on Retro Sports Network. After the game, of course, Manavani and Henry Mancini will fill the airwaves for you with the best stringed hits of ABBA and Metal Church. Can you imagine? I'd love to see Gardner pass out listening to metal turned into elevator music right here on Retro Sports Network. Al Oliver will lead off the fourth. He had a 2-run shot in the first to make it 4-0. McGregor deals, and there's a shallow fly ball to right. Ford dropped it! Oh my goodness, Oliver's going to take 2. Ford is an incredible fielder out there, but it got wet. He looked up in the raindrops and couldn't find it. And so Oliver's on with a 2-base error. And that brings up Wallach. And so again, they do not want to go with Storm Davis. Denny Martinez has pitched twice in the playoffs and was Christmas treat. Absolutely tattooed in both games. And if they lose this, they're going to need to win, or else the season's over. Pitch to Wallach. Left field. Lowenstein. Off the wall. Oliver scores. Wallach goes into second. And Earl can wait no more. What's he going to do? He's going to go with Boddicker. Boddicker not pitched in the World Series and can go 65 pitches. He really needs to hold. You wouldn't go with Sammy Stewart in a must-win game, would you? So in comes Boddicker. Mike, 2 innings in the American League Championship Series. A hit, he walked 3 and struck out 1. But the number to look at is by that pitches. It's 65. And right now, Earl needs Pac-Man out there on the mound. You may not win this game, but you cannot get further behind than 5-0. So the series is knotted at 2. Montreal leading game 5, 5-0. And so McGregor, you're now handing Steve Rogers a 5-run lead. Chris Spire struck out his first time up. So you know this means that Baltimore's winning this one 7-5, right? Pitch to Spire, ball 4. Yep. The global audience of Retro Sports Network. Dougie Flynn is 0 for 1. Runners on first and second. Wallach on second. Spire on first. And this is not how Earl Weaver wanted to say goodbye to Baltimore. Pitch from Boddicker. Ground ball to Dower. Steps on second. But no throw to first. That was a double play ball that Dower just couldn't get out of his hands. So it's for you on the fielder's choice. We do it all for you. Wallach moves to third, and Flynn is on first for Raines, who was 1 for 2. And so this has just not been a good night for Baltimore. I think emotions are just running a bit high. Last game of the year in Baltimore, regardless of what happens. Last game for Weaver in the World Series in Baltimore. And they've just not played well tonight. Pitch to Raines, and there's a base hit into right field. Wallach will score. Flynn will hold at second, and it's 6-0 Montreal. And so if you wanted the Expos, who kind of came out flat in Game 4 to make a statement, well, by God, they're making it in English, French, and Klingon. Joe Youngblood is 2 for 2. He has singled twice and scored. The Rear Admiral, how are you feeling? No, Al's not playing this game. Pitch to Youngblood. Struck him out. So Boddicker gets the strikeout. 2 out for Dawson, who has singled and scored. 1 for 2. Pitch. Ground ball to Gulliver. Long throw across, and that will retire the side. But the Expos have a 6th spot on the board on 2 runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. 3.5 down. Montreal 6, Baltimore nothing. It'll be Singleton, Murray, and Lowenstein for the Orioles here in the bottom of the 4th. awesome. Good job, Clinton. Yeah, Clinton's the left field umpire tonight. He'll be the right field umpire for Game 6. And if it goes 7, who's behind the plate? Clinton Parks. Singleton's 0 for 1, ball 4. So here's Eddie Murray. He's 0 for 1. Pitch. And there's a ground ball to Oliver. Spire for 1. Back to first. Murray's got wheels and beat it out. He beat it out. But Oliver saved a hit at least. They'll trade the runner. Murray's on first. There's nobody in scoring position. 3-6 on the fielder's choice for Lowenstein. Pitch to Johnny. Into center field. Dawson makes the catch for the out. Murray's not going to second. Cal Ripken's 0 for 1. Between the top and bottom half of the 5th, we'll give you the box score and story time with Uncle Ron. Pitch to Ripken. Up the middle. Rogers cuts it off, throws to first, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, and no errors. And it's glum. The rain has stopped, but the mood is still sour. 6-0 Montreal. Carter, White, and Oliver to face Boddicker here in the top of the 5th. Pitch to Gary, 1 for 2. Into center field. Bumbry's there for the out. Again, the preference is to use Storm Davis in Game 6 because Denny Martinez has not pitched well. They could conceivably use Palmer in Game 6, but that really leaves them Johnny Holstaff in a possible Game 7. So Davis is on full rest and is just as good as anybody else. White's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Boddicker deals. Struck him out. White checked his swing on a 1-2 fastball for strike 3. Here's Al Oliver. Al with that big 2-run homer in the first. 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored. And 2 RBI. Chopper to Gulliver. Over to Murray. Safe. He beat it out. And so every game, there's a new hero for both teams. This has just been, this game may not be great, but overall it's been magnificent baseball all the way. Here's Wallach. He's 1 for 2. He's got a double and an RBI. Runner on first. Boddicker deals. Into center field. Bumbry's got it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. Story time in a moment. Halfway home. 6-0 Montreal. So here's what happened. McGregor, who pitched so well in Game 1, pitched so stinky in Game 5. 3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. The homer, he struck out 2. Mike Boddicker, 2 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. And Steve Rogers has done what Steve Rogers did all year. He's throwing a 2-hit ball through 4. And the Expos have 9 hits today. Oliver 2, Youngblood 2, Raines 2. And Bumpry and Gulliver are the only hits for Baltimore. Oy vey. So as Steve Rogers warms up, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you've heard part of the story. Yesterday was my 21st wedding anniversary. And the wifey and I, go out to dinner. It was nice enough to eat outside. She wanted to eat inside, and I should have listened to her. So no, let's eat outside. So I live in a city, and there, as in every city, no matter how small it is, there's good places and there's bad places. And although we've eaten on this block several times, there is one specific house on the corner which has a reputation for being everything that you never wanted to be in the city. So we're eating food. Our main courses have come. We're having a decent time. We hear a large man scream. It's kind of concerning. You know what that is. And then I hear one of the restaurant staff and says to someone else, yeah, there's a guy over in that place that barks like a dog a lot. I'm not making that up. So I look over and there's a bunch of young, undistinguished men in their early 20s, just kind of looking at each other. Not sure if they're going to go at it, but they're looking at each other. And we continue to eat. There's some phones pulled out to call 911. And sure enough, there's another large scream, and there's commotion in the bushes, and they're proceeding to beat each other up. Fun, fun, fun. 911 gets called. 4 cop cruisers come. The guy that got beat up calmly walked away, sat on the bench, had a cigarette on the other side of the street. Cop checked him out. Cuts on the back of the head. He got rabbit punched. And ambulance was called. So fire trucks, ambulance, and by the end, 4 cruisers as we're sitting there trying to eat dinner. And so Sarah's not been a good week for her because we had a fire across the way that she had to help with residents, not her place, but across from where she was. And so I turned to Sarah while this was going on, as we're having a mediocre meal, it wasn't that great, and said, that's a lovely 8K television you bought for me, darling. Did we have to watch Cops? And that's how my 21st wedding anniversary went. Yes. Todd B, someone else said that to you. Dinner at a show. She was not amused. She was a poor thing. Anyway, here's Rogers. It'll be Ford, Nolan, and Gulliver to face Rogers here in the 5th. Yeah. You know, I mean, everyone in the house got down there. Even the well, what's the polite way to say it in family terms? Even the lady who gives lots of compassionate love came out with her shoulders bare, with the bad blonde dye job, and the rest of the outfit. I mean, it was surreal. Ford's 0 for 1 tonight. Pitch from Rogers. Struck him out! As we get back to the game, Dan Ford swings and misses and says, I waited 5 minutes to do that? Yes, you did. Here's Joe Nolan, who's 0 for 1. He's got a strikeout. No. Well, maybe her name was... yes, the home barfly. Her name might have been Mother Teresa, and I'm not going any further with that. Fouled off of Carter's mask. It's a no one count. Gary shakes it off. No one apologizes, and Rogers is ready. From the line, ground ball to Wallach over to first, 2 out. And that'll bring up Glenn Gulliver, who has one of the 2 Baltimore hits. Really. Rogers delivers, and Gulliver right back to Steve over to first, and the Orioles go down in order in the 5th. We go to the 6th. Boddicker says they can go one more. 6-0 Montreal. Here's Spire, Flynn, and Rain. Spire 0 for 1 with a walk and a strikeout. Boddicker deals, and there's a ground ball to Repkin over to Murray for the out. Sammy Stewart, by the way, listening for whenever Boddicker's done. Doug Flynn's 0 for 2. Boddicker deals. Chopper right back to Mike over to Murray for the out. Bad boys, hit that like button. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? So Timmy Raines is 2 for 3 as Boddicker has pitched 2 2/3 innings of decent baseball. No earned runs, no runs period. He's done his job. Raines 2 for 3, 2 singles and an RBI. Boddicker deals, ball 4. Here's Joe Youngblood. 2 for 3. Oh, and I can't pinch hit. And I don't need to pinch hit. I won't. 2 for 3, single twice, struck out once and scored. Nolan and Boddicker have a couple words. Boddicker deals. Youngblood into left center. Bunbury has it tracked down, and that will retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors. 5.5 down. It's still 6-0 Montreal. So Rogers has faced 18 batters in his gym. 69 pitches, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, and 3 strikeouts. Al Bunbury is singled and walked 1 for 1. Yeah, we had outdoor theater, Clinton. There's a couple spots that aren't real good. And it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. On a place that has restaurants. I mean, it wasn't like we were eating in a dark alley. Pitch to Bunbury is a line drive to right. White is there for the out, 1 away. Here's Dower. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. No, I was not sideswiped by Ben & Jerry's truck. We went to Ben & Jerry's after and they got my order wrong, so I didn't even finish my ice cream. Pitch to Dower. There's a fly ball, left center. Dawson goes back, 2 away. Here's Kenny Singleton. Kenny is walked. He's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. Into right field. White makes the catch to retire the side. After 6, no runs, no hits, no errors. It's Montreal 6. Baltimore nothing. And so it's Sammy Stewart, who is 0-1 with a save. He's been Jekyll and or Hyde. 2 1/3 innings in the playoffs. 4 hits, 2 homers, a walk, and a strikeout. He pitched, I think, in a win, didn't he? You get save in the World Series? He might have gotten a save. Well, I'll tell you as soon as it pops up. He pitched, no, he did not get a save. He did throw 1 inning, allowed a hit, a run, it was earned, and a walk. And that actually was game 4. So Sammy a mop-up duty. Dawson 1 for 3. Andre's got a single and a run scored. Ball 4, not what Earl wanted. Here's Gary Carter, 1 for 3. His 2-run double in the first really was all the offense the Expos needed. No. Thanks, though, Clinton. But, no. Steve Rogers in his career, 158 and 152 with an ERA of 3.17. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And his arm was shot by 85. The rain is now coming down in earnest here as we play the 7th. Pitch to Carter is a fly ball to left. Lowenstein makes the catch and Dawson goes back. So 1 out. Here's White. He's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And that gets away from Nolan. Dawson goes to second on the wild pitch. So Sammy Stewart not pitching that well. Dawson. Big lead off at second. Fly ball left center. Bunbury has it. Dawson will tag. He'll hold. And there's 2 out for Oliver, who is 2 for 3 with that 2-run shot. 6-0 Montreal top the 7th. Ground ball to Ripken. Over to Murray for the out. 4. And so after 6.5, last call for Natty Bowe. No runs, no hits, no errors. It's still the Expos 6, the Orioles nothing. And if you enjoy me telling tales of dread, why not consider a tip to my Patreon jar today? Patreon.com/RetroSportsNetwork. Got lots of exciting things coming up, including the 1986 football season starting September 3rd. Or $10 gets you any game in the Action PC lineup ever. You tell me what, I call it for you. Looking for a Christmas present to share with your dad? How about the first game you ever went to? I'll do that for you. Patreon.com/Retro Sports Network. Christmas stuff, really, if you want that, no later than December 1st, so I can make sure I can get it out and get it to you in a way that you can watch. Beating up neighborhood meth heads not included. Eddie Murray's 0 for 2. Rogers, 87 pitches through 6. Struck him out. 1-2 fastball, strike 3 called. This looks like the complete polar opposite of what Rogers did in Game 1. Here's Lowenstein, he's 0 for 2. The pitch, and there's a fly ball right field. White, in foul territory, makes the catch for the out. Cal Ripken is 0 for 2. You can smash it. Yeah, Oliver finally hitting. I don't want to know what Charlie Sheen did, okay? Pitch to Cal, 0 for 2, fly ball left field. Raines has got it for the out. No runs, no hits, no errors. After 7, Montreal 6, Baltimore nothing. We don't do a lot of pasta anyway, Clinton. So, you kind of hard to do that with refried beans and rice. Timmy Wallach is 1 for 3. He's got himself a double and an RBI. Stewart's ready. He delivers, and there's a liner to center field. Bumbry's there for the out. Bucks and Hawks at the top of the hour on Dave Little's channel as his epic 1970-71 playoffs continue. And TribeFan says that math heads know that 25 squared is 625. Here's Spire, he's 0 for 2. He's walked and struck out. Up the middle, base hit. So the first hit given up by Stewart, and 1 out for Flynn, who's 0 for 3. 10 hits for the Expos, 2 hits for the Orioles. Make it 11. Into left field, Spire will go to third. So 6 runs, 11 hits, and no errors for Montreal. They've left 6 on. Baltimore, I mean, you're going to have these nights. You just don't want them in Game 5 of the World Series. No runs, 2 hits, and an error. Raines 2 for 3. He is singled twice, drove home a run, and walked once. Stewart deals. Struck him out. What a big pitch from Sammy. A 1-2 at the belt for strike 3. So here's Youngblood. See if they pinch hit. He's 2 for 4. He has scored a run and struck out. He'll stay in the game. Popped up left side. Gulliver has it for the out. So no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left on. After 7.5, it's 6-0 Montreal. So Dan Ford, Joe Nolan, and Glenn Gulliver, you might as well leave him in. He's got one of the 2 hits. Ford is 0 for 2. And Ford will be pinch hit for. Gary Renicky, 2 for 13 in the playoffs with a double. Rogers deals. Struck him out. Yep, that worked well. A 2-2 curve right down Broadway for strike 3, and that's 5 for Rogers. And that'll bring up Joe Nolan, who's 0 for 2 with the strikeout. So why did the Strawberry call 911? It found itself in a jam. Ba-doom boom. Apparently demos is missed tonight. Thankfully never played in the California Penal League or been called a wedgehead. Pitch to Nolan. Center field. Dawson's there for the out. Here's Gulliver. He's going to stay in the game. Why not? He has half the Orioles' hits, and they're down 6. Pitch to Glenn. Ground ball to Wallach. Over to Oliver in the rain, and that will retire the side. So Rogers can get the CG or bring in Reardon. He hasn't pitched in a couple days. Sammy Stewart will face Dawson, Carter, and White as we go to the 9th. And Andre is 1 for 3. He has singled, walked, and scored. And I'm missing a right fielder. Do you really think it matters with a 6-run deficit? Gary Renicky will take right field. Such a disheartening scene in the Oriole dugout as Joe Altobelli and Cal Ripken Sr. have their arms around Earl, trying to console him. Orioles, of course, can come back and win this series. It's been one of those I win, you win postseasons. But you want to win that last game at home. Dawson 1 for 3. Ground ball to Gulliver. A long throw across the way for the out. Here's Gary Carter. Gary is just all that in a bag of chips. That double just changed everything tonight for Montreal. Here's the pitch. Ground ball to Gulliver over to Murray. 2 out for Jerry White, who's 0 for 4. Has struck out twice. Let's see what they do. And Wallace Johnson gets his World Series debut. 193 in the real year with 2 RBI. Stewart ate 3 innings tonight of scoreless baseball. Ground ball to Dower, over to Murray, and that will retire the side. So the Expos go down in order in the 9th. It's still 6-0. 6 runs, 11 hits, and no errors. They've left 8 on. Baltimore, no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. And they've left 3 on. And so Steve Rogers has pitched to 27 batters. 116 pitches. 8 innings. 2 hits. 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Bunbury, 1 for 2 with a walk. Rogers deals. Base hit right field. So the Orioles need 6 to tie and 7 to win. That's doable, right? Here's Dower. He's 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Rogers, you won't see him again in the World Series. He might come in Game 7 to face a batter or 2. But this is it. And the Expos have kind of gotten behind that firewall and are 3 outs away from a 3-2 lead. Pitch to Dower. Ground ball to Spire. Steps on second. Throws to Oliver. And who got hurt? Somebody got hurt. Runner's safe. Spire is hurt. Dower beat the relay. Bunbury slid into Spire. Roll block. So Spire trying to walk off the ankle, but 1 out for Singleton, who's 0 for 2. Rogers deals. Ground ball to Wallach. Flynn for 1. Oliver to Montreal. How about that? The Expos are 1 win away. And Steve Rogers throws a 3-hitter in Game 5. The Expos 6. The Orioles nothing. Hello, you're on the air. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. Bye. Alright, I gotta make this short because I gotta do a potty break and the wife's gonna come home for it. Obviously, the MVP here in Game 5 is Steve Rogers, who throws a 3-hitter. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, not a run there. He threw 128 pitches, 89 strikes, 39 walks. He goes to 1-0 in the World Series and gives the Expos a 3-2 lead. And so Montreal has 2 chances at home to win the World Series and give the Orioles bullpen all the credit in the world. Over the last 6 innings, Mike Boddicker and Sammy Stewart held the Expos to 4 hits. There you go, gang. So the final score, Montreal 6, Baltimore nothing. Tomorrow night at 8, the Expos with a chance to win the World Series. How about that? Join us then, won't you? I'm Ron Juckett. You have yourself a wonderful night. Basketball from Dave Little at the top of the hour. Take care. Thank you very much, and good night. The proceeding was a presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and future.